The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
Greetings and welcome to another episode of Bermuda's Feel Good Early Morning Show. Good day, Bermuda, supported by Pete's House and Aliana's Restaurant. I'm Terri Tuku alongside Jackie Lambert, and we want to thank you for getting up bright and early with us today. Please take a minute as you're joining to share this episode wherever you are watching. Jackie, it is Friday. How are you feeling?
Good. And I'm excited. I know people are just going to be upset, but I'm excited. It's been raining all night and it's supposed to rain all day.
No, it's not. The radar does not have any rain after that little big massive thing's going.
It's going to rain all day.
No, it's not. The radar does not say so.
And it's going to do an illegal U-turn and come back.
Illegal U-turn and come right back. I mean, so I did check the radar. Friend of mine sent the screenshot in our group chat, and it was massive. Like the span of that.
How fast is it moving? Is it moving slow?
No, it's going. It's like over Bermuda. It's like going. I mean, it rained during the night. I think that's enough. I think
I'm off today after this.
Oh, that's why. See, look at her just
stay inside, and I love the sound of rain. Like if there's no thunder, no lightning, I am happy.
Look at you, just not even caring about the rest of us that have to possibly go out and about and use transportation, public trans, walk. All of these things, she's just like, well, I'm going to be him.
Singing in the rain. I'm singing in the rain. You wear your umbrella, you wear your bellies, and you wear your rain suit, and you jump through puddles like you did that time on Instagram.
I know. I have been debating. My inner child and my grown woman self have been having a conversation on whether I should wear my rain boots or not, and it's still out. It's still out. As you're joining us, Jackie and I want to let you know that today's Feel Good topic of the day is hustle culture. We're actually going to be talking about the fact that millennials no longer subscribe to that ethos. And that's a conversation you don't want to miss, whether you're millennial or you have millennials in your life, because we need to talk about this hustle culture and how it's been detrimental to our mental health. Now, if you want to laugh to get your morning started, make sure you stick around for our Feel Good vibe of the day, which is Joke Time with Jackie. We're going to get you started with today's conversation. On the bottom of the screen, you're going to see our Feel Good warm-up question. We want to know, how do you feel about Bermuda's handling of the Omicron variant? Do you think they dropped the ball? In case you missed it, there was a presser yesterday where the Minister of Health and the Acting Minister of Education spoke about changes that are coming down the pipeline with respect to the quarantine length of time. And there was a question that was asked of the Minister of Health around the government handling of the Omicron variant and the fact that we have this pretty massive and widespread outbreak. And so we want to talk about it. Jack, how do you feel our government handled the variant specifically, whether it relates to the schools opening or just in general?
We need to start taking responsibility for our actions as well. We can't always say the government. Now, I didn't get to listen to the conference, but of course, I have social media, I have WhatsApp, so people post their statuses. So to see how they must have told everybody that Karika scored, or Dr. Bowden scored 1 out of 10 on her handling it. You guys didn't take her advice half of the time.
It was interesting.
You have social media and you follow Dr. Weldon on Twitter. She is very, very outspoken.
Agreed.
what she says she has advised, her arguing with people about what should be happening versus what the government was actually doing. Why are you putting all the blame on her when you guys are the ones that are in power? She's the advisor. She's telling you to do X, Y, and Z, and then you guys are gonna go ahead and do your own thing. It's like that middle child that's just like, well, I saw that the older child, the firstborn, did everything that you said, and I don't like the way life turned out. And then the middle child's usually that rebellious in between. It's just like, I want to see for myself that hole over there will actually swallow me whole. So I'm gonna oh geez, it swallowed me whole. And I feel like that's what the government's doing. And then instead of them saying, okay, I should have listened to you, blah, 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 they're just like, why you didn't do X, Y, and Z, even though we said, like, what was, I'm supposed to take the mic every time you talk?
Apparently. So what's interesting about the Omicron variant, because it's no surprise, it's no secret that it spreads much faster than the other variants prior to it. And some of the reports have come back that the symptoms are milder for that particular variant versus the other variants. And all of that aside, it still feels like we keep coming back to like a start and stop situation. And it even feels like the community wants that, even though they say otherwise, because you hear people saying, well, government should have stepped in sooner, or government should have done something earlier. And it's like, to your point, personal accountability. At what point do you say, okay, I want my child to go back to school, so I'm going to make some provisions to maybe get an antigen test or set myself up to get a PCR test sooner, so that at least I've made an effort. And at that point, if the system crumbles, it's not necessarily because we waited for government to tell us what to do. I think that part of the conversation, to me, though, it makes me giggle whenever I see people like hearing something from the government and it's actually what literally word for word what they want. And then they're like, no.
Personally, out of all the variants that I would like, that I'm okay with like running rampant, this is the one. To know that mild symptoms, a little stuffy nose, a runny nose, a little ache and pain, or they're having the worst of it for like maybe 48 hours, to know that this is the worst of it versus the first few variants, or maybe some variants to come. For those that aren't vaccinated, to get antibodies, that those that are nervous to get vaccinated or don't want to get vaccinated, that want to do it naturally, for them to get the lesser of all the evils as that are out right now. For this outbreak, I think that we are lucky that it's this specific variant that is running through us.
Rampant, yeah. If you're just joining us, Jackie and I are talking about our thoughts on the Omicron variant and how the government has handled it or not. Let us know in the comments your thoughts on it. In case you missed it, there was a press conference yesterday that did see the health minister and the acting minister of education speak to the changes that are coming down the pipeline with respect to quarantine. One thing I noted, which I don't know, I haven't read the statement, so I can't say for sure if there is a distinction, but there was one part of the presentation where they said, regardless of status, the requirement to do a pre-arrival test on arrival, and then do your day 4 and day 10 testing, that's changing. So it's now going to be 3, and the last one can be a verified antigen test, so it doesn't have to be a PCR test. And I thought it was interesting that they didn't make the distinction between unvaccinated versus vaccinated, because that's usually where people's the
verified antigen test. Where do we go for this? That's what I keep missing. And I saw it on Twitter, and I just want to know, because I saw somebody actually tweet it, how do you become a verified?
Listen, I'm a pick up this additional stream of income if it is available.
That's why I'm asking. So I'm like, I ain't trying to hustle hard, but that's an easy hustle.
A little simple, and you could just do your neighborhood too, right? Like, you ain't even gotta try to do the whole island. Just stick to your neighborhood, your little area. Just say, between these 2 points, I can do mobile verified antigen testing, and that's an easy couple of dollars. And you ain't gotta charge a whole lot. Just charge for the cost of the test and a little couple extra, because it's probably gonna be 15 minutes, because you gotta wait for the results.
I'll nicely charge a little $15.
Easy. Like, that's not even. sweat off anyone's back. And if you do once a week for a couple of different people, like, listen, Jack and I are going to find out how we can become certified, verified,
Girl, that is
antigen testers.
lunch money. That's gas money. That's a little extra savings for when I take a little trippy trip.
Exactly. It's all the things.
Like
So
World Star when she's actually having a great day.
before Jackie and I take our quick commercial break, we want to bring in this comment from Janae. She says, okay, we matching. Good morning. Yes, good morning to you, Janae. And for those of you that don't know, today is, I think it's Pain to Purpose is the name of the campaign. It is in honor of Kojani Burgess, who did lose his life, I want to say back in 2020, through a road fatality. And so wearing blue today is in honor of those that lost their life on our roads. And there is another part to the campaign, which we actually posted to our Instagram story. So if you're not already following us on Instagram, go ahead and follow at Good Day Bermuda on Instagram. Jack, you were trying to say something, but I couldn't hear you.
I was saying during Christmas time, and I said, I say specifically it was Boxing Day, but I could be wrong, but it was definitely during the holiday.
Yeah. And it was sad story. Definitely don't want to, bring up any bring up any harsh memories for anyone that may be watching that knew Kojani or is a relative of him. But in honor of him and there's others that have lost their lives on Bermuda's roads, but we're in blue today. So if you had plans to wear a different color today, change it up. It's a blue day. Jackie and I are going to take a quick commercial break, and then we'll be back with our feel-good topic of the day. That's a conversation you don't want to miss, whether you're a millennial or you have a millennial in your life.
Same smooth sounds, different name. BCG Radio, home of Bermuda's most engaging morning talk shows, The Daily Hour and Good Day Bermuda. Download the app, available for Android and Apple devices. BCG Radio, your station for conversations and entertainment.
Welcome back to Good Day Bermuda, supported by Pete's House and Aliana's Restaurant. I'm Terri Tuku alongside Jackie Lambert. And if you're just joining us, please take a minute to share this episode wherever you're watching. If you're on YouTube, go ahead and hit the like button. Those of you on Facebook, make sure you react to this episode. And if you're on Twitter, go ahead and run up those hearts. Jackie and I are about to start our feel good topic of the day. We are discussing hustle culture and the fact, that millennials are no longer subscribing to that ethos. So before we kind of dive into the questions for the audience and all of that good jazz, Jack, can you just talk about how you describe hustle culture? Like, what does hustle culture mean to you?
It means always on the go.
Never stopping.
Exhaustion and working through exhaustion, never taking a break. Always say you'll take a break tomorrow, or I'll wait till the weekend, and just trying to constantly push through. And one person that comes to mind, and I love her dearly, but I can't wait for her to finish on the 31st, is Dr. Weldon. She is a friend of mine, and I do try to check up on. I'm like, are you sleeping? Have you got any sleep? She's just like, I'm still at the lab and I need to get these results out, because her and her team are, do pride themselves on getting that done. And I'm just like, I can't wait for her to drop this hustle so that she can get a little her time and relax and take a break. So
yeah. I can totally agree with that sentiment. Definitely wishing Dr. Weldon well once she does leave, and that she gets that extra sleep that she's probably indebted for months on end that she needs to catch up on. Comment from Jenny Lynn. Good morning to you, Jenny. Thank you for joining us. Jenny is actually one of our longtime Instagram Live watchers, tuners.
Club.
She changed it up to join us for the Breakfast Club, as Jackie just mentioned. She's actually the one that gave us the name Dinner Club Live for our Instagram Live. So shout outs to Jenny for that. So now, audience, we want to get you involved. Jackie just shared, what her thoughts are on hustle culture. You can also share what you define as hustle culture, And we actually want to talk about, why has hustle culture become so popular over the years? Jackie, you just talked about the go mentality, how that whole ethos is like team no sleep, like that was like a really big thing. And so just let's talk about it. Why do we think hustle culture has become so popular?
Because I blame people like 50 Cent.
Get rich or die trying.
I do. He'll say, get rich or die trying. You could sleep when you're dead. What, you don't want this money? Like, he had the motivational check, and you saw him go from nothing to who he is now. Or you got the Jay-Z's, or you look at people and they're just like, Beyonce has the same 24 hours, and then you look at her documentaries and she pushes through and she dances and she works hard. So we look at our lives and we look at theirs and not realizing that they still have something that we never had. They had the parents that were there behind them. Even the Kardashians, they had like a quick come up. It wasn't the most classiest, but look at the mom. She makes those girls work. They want to have vacations. They want to do nothing, but they work, and you just want to push through. You find yourselves, even athletes, they have the motivational conversation of, you had Muhammad Ali. He would say he didn't even start counting his skipping or his abs or his push-ups until it already hurt. So that's how you think of greatness, and you create that to everything else. And you're just like, all right, well, if I want to be great, I have to push through this pain. I have to push through this exhaustion. If I want to get to be a millionaire, I have to work hard at it. We have to get through all of this. And, you got to burn out.
Yep. And speaking of money, so Jason Shirley says you have to hustle with the cost of living, speaking about Bermuda's cost of living. And then Janae goes on to say, because nothing comes easy, you get out what you put in. And let's just pause on this for a second, because, and I'll bring it back up, because the idea of you get out what you put in, it's kind of like, it's like, I understand the ethos, but I also feel like there is that level of toxicity that Jackie just spoke about, where it's like, okay, for a Muhammad Ali, that was his version of, this is how I become great, this is how I become successful. But for someone else looking to be a similar type of boxer, that might not necessarily be how they get to the same level of Muhammad Ali, because everyone's different, right? And so even with you, Jackie, when you coach people, I'm pretty sure you, like with my friend and myself, we're two different people. So how you coach me is probably not the way that you're coaching my friend, even though we're in the exact same session.
So, for example, I had 4 kids yesterday for a group session, and I had them at the end. They were rallying, and I kept saying, all right, guys, water break. I say water break between every bowl pickup. Now's the time to get your water if you need it. Now's the time to get your water if you need it. And one of my little girls, she was getting frustrated, and she was still trying to push through, and I pulled it to the side, and I was just like, go take a break. And she was just like, no. And I was just like, go take a break. Because what happens is, when you're exhausted, when you're exhausted, your patience, everything just plummets. So you're now not getting anything out of it. You're creating bad habits. So you need to take that break, that moment to refocus, regroup, compose yourself, and then you can come back out. So that's why I told her, just like, whenever you need a break, take it. Take it, catch yourself, and then come back out. Because what happens is you start to make mistakes.
Right.
And then what happens? Now you have more work to do.
And then the negative self-talk comes in, which is kind of ties into our conversation yesterday with Coach Coop. It's like, if you already can see the mistake, like it's clear as day you made the mistake. So the first thing is usually yourself having that negative self-talk. And then if it's a group sport, even if it's not a group sport, you might think that someone is looking at that mistake and thinking negatively of you. And then if they express it, that's now 2 points for you to kind of feel down, and you're already tired or you're already exhausted. So you've now created 3 levels of stress for yourself unnecessarily. If you would have just taken that little break, maybe just walked around the court, taken a few deep breaths, just, try to shrug off that energy and come back.
Yeah, I've even ended sessions early where the person has told me they had a rough day at school or at work, whatever the case may be. And I'm like, all right, well, we're not doing an hour, we're doing 45 minutes. And then like, what? And I'm like, because what we'll do is we'll still do the hour session, but you'll do 45 minutes of work, which means you'll have 15 minutes of break, which means that you have to mentally adjust how you push yourself. So you push yourself hard, and then you can go take a break, and then you'll work hard, and then you'll go take a break, and then it just makes it easier. And then it's an easy ending to your day, but you still get the endorphins. You still hit your bullet points, you hit your goals and everything else, and you still accomplish everything, but in a healthy environment.
Okay, Jackie, just bringing the mental health into the physical health. We love
Life
the whole
hack.
wellness. We love the life hacks. So I want to come to some comments. We have some that are coming in. They look like they're going to be a bit big, so I'm going to read them on the side just so that they don't get cut off or they don't make the screen look
No
funny. So the first one is from Kathy Rogers. She says, "Morning, everyone. I agree. The lyrics, music have definitely influenced this generation. Not all positive either. Many can't distinguish what's real and what's not." And that's to your point, Jackie. You're talking about 50 Cent and the whole Get Rich or Die Trying saga and ethos that he created. It definitely perpetuated the hustle culture and that mentality of you sleep when you're dead.
Right.
And I do see your point around how we internalized it because that was the music. Oh, I guess Kathy's point too. We've internalized it because that's the music that we listen to for who knows how long, and still listening to it to this day.
But when you get older, you realize that exhaustion, all of that is a trickle effect, right? Everything is connected. Your mental, your physical, your emotional. So if one of them is messing up, it dominoes into the other.
Exactly.
You
And then so this
make yourself sick.
exactly. And then this next comment from Jenny Lynn, she says, "It's a difficult balance. I think the narrative needs to be switched. Yes, hustle, be in control of your life, have goals and achieve them, but recharging is just as important as the hustle." She's now 30-ish and just learning this lesson. Sometimes it's very difficult for an overachiever. And let's talk about those personality traits, right? Because I feel like as you grow up, you kind of you are a certain type of person. You're either a perfectionist or you're an overachiever or you want to push through, like you said. And so, like, how those type of personality traits affect how we hustle, basically. Like, have you seen, because even in your students, have you seen where there's like certain personalities where, they're trying to push through, even though they know full well it's not good for them, or they don't even know because they're young, and even if they're old and they just haven't had that awareness yet?
I do see it, and then I see that their emotions start to change.
Mm-hmm.
You don't even realize it, and I look at the parents, and I'm just like, I'm sending you your child for a minute. And the child's just like, "What I do wrong?" I'm like, "Nothing. I just see that you need a break. Go sit off with your parents for a minute. I'll call you back." And then they go. They kind of you could see
decompress.
Because when you get overtired, you get jittery and anxious, and all the different little negative stuff starts to come out, and you just want to make them come back down, catch yourself, and it's like decompress a little bit. So you send them off and they sit and they're just, and I'll change the drill. So we're not playing fun stuff. So you're not missing out. We're doing the boring stuff like practicing our serves that nobody else has.
The technical.
Like study, they're like, "Oh, well, I'm not really missing anything. I could practice this at home by myself." Exactly. So when they come back out, we're playing jail. So what happens? They're having fun. So take a moment, write your task list out, but know that if your task list is 10, that you only have so many hours of a day before you need to actually catch yourself. So make sure that you know that only half may get done or one may get done. Or you can think of it like a multiple choice. Go through it, hit the easy tasks, and then come back and do the easier ones.
The harder ones. But yes. I love that. And so I want to come to this comment from Jamal. I'm going to try to bring it up. And okay, we'll work with it. So Jamal says, to the question, hustle mentality is a slave mentality. We've been made to believe hard work or working harder than others brings us closer to our goals. It's not true. My grandpa worked hard, but my grandpa never achieved the wealth of the rich white who benefited off his labor. And that's kind of, it's a crisis in the sense that those who benefit from the hustler mentality are going to potentially lose their workforce because their workforce has decided, enough is enough. And so to kind of bring this into the research that we did. So we found an article on CNET, and they had mentioned how that a record 4.5 million people quit their jobs in November 2021 alone. This is according to the U.S. Labor Department. And when you think about the amount of people that just said deuces, that's a high number of people that have just said, you know what, enough is enough. I'm done with this. I'd much rather live than die trying to live.
A lot of us millennials, whatever you want to call us, a lot of our people, our generation, have parents that have. So it means nothing to us to be like, yeah, I'm going back home if I have to. But they're out there and they're looking for other opportunities, and there are a lot of small startups that are available, or a better work environment. So you just want to bounce around and see what happens and what works best for you. At the end of the day, there's always going to, if everybody's quitting, there's always going to be a job available.
there will be a job for
You'll find
someone
one
if they
that's
want to do it.
perfect for you, that you actually work better with. And if you make yourself valuable enough and indispensable, a lot of people aren't going to take, you won't be able to dish out to them as much as you could have dished out to the next person. Like for myself, you can't talk to me a certain way and expect me to want to stay.
Right. Exactly.
I'm
I want
like,
to I want to ask this next really quick yes or no question for the audience. I'm actually going to bring up a comment from Rosalind Famous. So while I'm reading that comment, I want to bring in this question. Did you know that China has a 996 system? Just type yes or no in the comments if you knew that China had a 996 system. And if you don't know what that is, then I think your answer should be no. Now, bringing in this comment from Rosalind Famous, she says, hi, I think we have to be careful where we put the label hustle culture. In building a business, pushing through something is sometimes very necessary. I think the hustle culture is the glorification of being busy and overworking. I agree with Jenny. It's about balance. And then to bring in this comment from Kathy Rogers, she says, yes, balance is extremely important. And I think it is. And to Rosalind's point, it is a fine line of where you put the hustle culture. And hustle culture is specifically to the work environment, because there are even some solopreneurs, even entrepreneurs, CEOs that are hustling and killing themselves, like quite literally, like working themselves to death. And so I do think, to her point, small business owners are probably hustling a bit more. However, the point around recharging is really important. And even what Jacky's talking about, taking those breaks, because the minute you don't take the breaks, you are literally the hustle culture. That's literally the hustle culture. It's not taking the breaks. If you're taking the breaks, you're not in the hustle culture. You are just an effectively well-balanced human being, and that's what you should be.
Last year and the year before that, I was definitely in the hustle culture. I was doing too much, and I learned my lesson the hard way.
She did.
Woo, that was close call. And now I would be like, no. My dad would be like, hey, Jack, I'm going to go cut the grass. That's amazing. I'm not helping. And he'd be like, oh, yeah, no. I took today off for a reason. I did not take today off
to work
grass and do more work. No, I work and I'm taking my break. I still get up and do my show in the morning, and I'm going to go back and I'm going to rest and I'm going to go sleep, and I'll do any little housework that needs to be done if I feel like it. But for the most part, I plan to sleep all day.
So as you can see on the bottom of the screen, want to know, did you know that China has a 996 system? In the comments, just type yes or no or Y or N. It looks like Rosalind Famous did not know that system existed. Let us know in the comments if you did, because it's actually, I think it was a fun fact from the article that Jackie and I read when it comes to hustle culture and how millennials are deciding to just walk away from that particular ethos. And Jody Virgil says, no, it didn't as well. And to kind of give you some context, the 996 system is working 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. 6 days a week. And there are a lot of Chinese millennials that are walking away from that system and saying enough is enough. They're much more educated than the previous generations, and they're realizing this is dumb. Like that, this is my words, not theirs. But it's dumb to work 12-hour days, 6 days straight.
The work will always be there. I have seen people that have sat at their desk, and I've called them and I've been like, I see that you're online. What are you doing? I'm working. Why? Because this has to get done by when? Friday. And what is today? Monday. Log out. Go sleep, because what's going to happen, you're going to make a mistake because it's 3 o'clock in the morning, and then you're going to spend more time having to go back and change everything. Go sleep.
And stay asleep. That's another thing too, which we're gonna hopefully have some people in later on. Even Jackie and I are gonna do some research, because Jackie has had some struggles with sleeping and I've had some struggles with sleeping. So we're definitely gonna try to, find some resources that she and I and possibly the audience can benefit from, because that part of the hustle culture, if you're not getting the sleep, then you just find yourself going back to, okay, well, since I'm up, I might as well do some work. I might as well do something. And so as we go into our last question that we want to ask you, how has your view of your job changed from your early days to now? one thing we noted from the article was that in the American society, and we'll just kind of lump Bermuda into that because we kind of tend to follow suit and we have a similar societal view as them, a little bit more conservative, but nonetheless, as society has become more individualistic, people are starting to look at work as not just a means of survival, but as a place for them to actually have meaning, like live in their purpose. And so we wanted to find out, like, when you had your first job, was it one of those jobs where it's like, I just need this to get some money, and now you're at a point in your career where you're like, I need my job to actually mean something. I think I needed to do more than just be a 9 to 5. What are your thoughts, Jack?
I have always loved my job. I have to say, I am very lucky to have grown up in the industry that I grew up in, because I've always found purpose, especially with obviously who my dad is and what he's done for the community and blah, blah, blah. It allowed me to align with my personality, who I am, and what I want to do for everybody else in the world that I, engage with, encounter, and all that good jazz. So I'm lucky. But talking about, the days and stuff, I have learned that I will have long days, and then I'll schedule so I'll have 4 long days where I'm out for it for hours and I'm exhausted and I go home. But then I have 3 short days, and it's like long, short, long, short, long, short, short.
Creating that balance. Creating that balance.
Because I just refuse to see how my friends are just out there pushing through, and it's not healthy.
It's not at all. So as you're answering that question, I want to bring in this comment from Monica Dunstan. She has 2 comments. The first part is, she's just tuning in. I don't think there's anything wrong with grinding hard for a girl. I have always had a second and third job to achieve a big goal of mine. And it looks like she achieved that goal, and she finally quit those extra jobs a year ago in November, and it felt good. And listen, celebrating you for that. Congratulations to you on that, because it's not easy all the time working towards a goal and just feeling like you have to do all of the extra.
Yeah,
I like to make it work.
I don't mind hustling for a timeline. I don't. But it's people that are just like hustling. Like I've seen people that are hustling and then they spend all their money at the bars or doing stuff, and it's just
and then complain about the hustle.
And then they complain that they want to buy their own house, or they want to do this and they can't. And I'm just like, how? All you do is work. And then you realize that they're hustling to portray an image of already having it, already being successful. And I'm just like, society has really, and we are society, but really just screwed up the way we are programmed.
And even this comment from Monica Dunstan, she says, hustle without a good savings plan is just running on a hamster wheel. And that's kind of it, right? That's kind of where we want to get to it. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, the concept of hustle culture in the context of not taking breaks, not getting much sleep, that part is dead. That's not happening anymore. The hustle towards a specific goal, knowing that, okay, you need to have these 2 jobs in place in order to get to that goal. That is a plan. That's just not hustling because get rich or die trying is the mantra. And I'm going to either get rich or die. Like, we definitely have kind of come to that conclusion as millennials. Like, we're not finna do that.
Going off of what Monica said, I've never just had 1 job. I've always had 2 jobs. I've always had 2 or 3 jobs. Sometimes I've had 4. And I've learned, obviously, that sometimes I have to say no to those side hustles when it comes to working on the boat playpen. I used to say yes to Chris every day. Yep, I'll be there. Yep, I'll be there. And I'll be tired. And he'd be like, you should have said no today.
Yep.
And as soon as he'd be like, when we get time, see somebody could pick you up and go home. Because he has to be there. It's his boat. But I felt bad because he's tired. And I'm just like, well, I mean, you need the help. And he's just like, yeah, I could do it. Go. And I'm like, so when I started to learn that it's okay to say no, I started saying no. Like, nope.
Start saying no.
I know it's a hustle and I know you rely on me sometimes, but I am not reliable today.
Exactly. So I want to bring in this comment from Kathy Rogers. She says, it's always been a hustle for me. I've only recently changed. Now it's definitely about balance for me now. And I think that's, it's it. Like, everyone comes to their mindset shift on their own. It doesn't happen overnight. Even this conversation, we're talking about it and we're seeing that we kind of all share similar thought processes when it comes to the whole idea of hustle culture, but everyone's in their own stage of life. So some people may need to continue to have more than one job because, even as Monica mentioned, they have a goal that they're trying to achieve. And in order to achieve that goal, they do need the extra income, or it could be even an extra skill set that they're trying to build upon that will allow them to kind of live a more free life. So I'm really enjoying this conversation with everyone. I see all the comments coming in. I want to bring in this next comment from Jamal. Jack.
I work 2 full-time jobs only because it's necessary right now, especially when building a company, but long-term, no, it's not healthy for us emotionally, mentally, or physically. Exactly. You have to have that light at the end of the tunnel.
That exit strategy, that plan to say,
yes.
I will step away from this at some point, and I have a date, which is X. And once I get to
the end of your life where you're 70 and you're unable to retire. No, you have to have a financial plan, knowing that, like, say, okay, you're working towards to getting a house. Is it going to be an income property? Do an income property first and then buy your long-term house so that your income property is paying for your long-term house. And I know some people hate that you're using rent to pay for your mortgages, but that's the way it is.
That's life. They do it. Everyone, like, they do it. Like, let's just stop thinking that they don't do it. That's exactly what they do and more to secure themselves financially. So just because we think morally it's wrong, no, that is literally how you move from
work
easy, not hard. And so I want to bring in this comment from JD Barger because it actually connects to the whole idea of finances. So JD Barger says, I think financial investments are so important so that our money can work for us. Passive income is really what we all should be doing. Trying to create at least one stream of passive income this year would probably be the best financial goal you can have for yourself. If you don't already have a few financial goals already set up, that might be a good one to kind of create for yourself, because at the end of the day, like Jody said, if the money can work for you, you can work less. And this one final comment before we go to our next commercial break. Rosalind Famous says, that is important at all times, knowing when to say no. It's a hard lesson to learn. Absolutely. And that's a great way to end this conversation, because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. Saying no when you need to say no, and hustle in those times that you have created for yourself that makes sense.
With no explanation. That's the hard part right there. Because people will be like, I'm like, no. And they're like, why? And I've learned to say, because I said no.
Because I said so.
I'm not giving you an explanation.
Absolutely. On that note, Jackie and I are going to take a quick commercial break, and then we'll be back with our feel-good vibe of the day, which is Joke Time with Jackie. If you want a laugh to get the rest of your morning started, make sure you stick around for that. Jackie's going to be back with the corniest jokes you can hear on the internet today.
Same smooth sounds, different name. BCG Radio, home of Bermuda's most engaging morning talk shows, The Daily Hour and Good Day Bermuda. Download the app, available for Android and Apple devices. BCG Radio, your station for conversations and entertainment.
Welcome back to Good Day Bermuda, supported by Pete's House and Aliana's Restaurant. I'm Terri Tuku alongside Jackie Lambert. Before we get into our feel-good vibe of the day, Jack, what was a key takeaway moment for you from today's episode?
To be okay with saying no, taking your breaks and resting. Listen to your body, because a lot of people say if you don't take a break, your body will type whatever.
It will tell you, yep.
Yeah, your body will give you the break. So take a break before you actually get sick, because obviously when you're tired, your immune system drops and boom, COVID's got you.
Rona's got you. Her daughter Delta's got you. The boyfriend Omicron's got you. And then the baby Delta Deltacron. I didn't even know the child's name.
All the other ones.
I don't even know the child's name. That's how bad it is. But yes.
Minions.
The minions. On that note, Jack, I'm ready for a joke. I'm pretty sure the audience is ready for a joke. If this is the first time you are joining us for Joke Time with Jackie, if you're watching on Facebook, simply react to the jokes as they come in. Whether you're on YouTube or Twitter, drop the emoji reactions in the comments, because Jackie's about to bring the jokes. She's about to bring the funny. Let's go, Jack. She's already laughing, so they're already funny.
Why did the banana go to the doctor?
Because he had a split. I don't know.
It wasn't peeling well. Okay, same thing. Why did the cookie go to the doctor?
Because he crumbled? He had a tummy ache?
He is feeling crummy. What happens when two hamburgers fall in love?
It's a match. I don't know. I was gonna say the match made in somewhere.
Oh, they live together in holy matrimony.
Matrimony. That was the one. That was the one.
Okay.
I love it. I live for it. If, as always, Jackie and I hope that today's Feel Good Vibe of the day has you ready to make it a great one. Thank you so much for watching and engaging with this episode of Good Day Bermuda, supported by Pizza's and Ariana's Restaurant. I'm Terri Tuku alongside Jackie Lambert. We trust we'll see you next week for more Feel Good conversations. As a reminder, if you haven't already put on your blue, please make sure you put on your blue in honor of those who have lost their lives on Bermuda's roads, because Monday's show, we're actually going to be talking with the chairman of the Road Safety Council, the Honorable Dennis Sister III. A great conversation, and we'll be carrying on from, honoring those that we have today. Until the next episode, peace and have a good day, Bermuda.